everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a review on the Radium Girls, the dark story of America's Shining Women by Kate Moore. This story begins in 1917. We follow the lives of young girls who worked in the radium dial factories. These girls were more than eager to earn wages to help out their families financially. They were also enthralled to work with the luminescent substance called radium. Their job was to paint dials on clocks and watches so that they could be seen in the dark. The radium would totally engulf them completely from head to toe, but no matter. They didn't mind that they glowed in the dark because they were unaware of the dangers that radium posed. In fact, the public actually thought that radium was good for you. This substance was clearly not well understood. Workers were instructed by their managers to stick meat paintbrushes in their mouths to shape the brushes so that when they painted the dials, they would be more precise and more quicker. It wasn't long before these women suffered the consequences. They began developing really frightening health problems. On top of physically working with this element, it got on their skin and on their clothes and just everywhere. They were ingesting it as well. A lot of these girls were with the company for a long time, so you can imagine how much exposure they were receiving. It's safe to say that many suffered. So once radium is in your system, it can be pretty deceptive. It behaves like calcium, so it tricks your body into thinking that it is calcium, so your body sends it to your bones. Once there, your bone marrow is in direct contact with it, so it has literally no protection. So your bone marrow is constantly being bombarded by rays from these radioactive deposits. So since radium makes your bones brittle, one of the first symptoms that many of these girls experienced was loosened teeth and also disintegrating jawbones. So that was just disturbing to read and quite shocking actually. Many of them tried to seek medical help. They were subjected to a lot of experimental treatments and tests, but the doctors that saw them were utterly clueless and offered meager suggestions or guesses, and it just really exasperated the girls and often worsened their condition. I found this book to be really powerful, and I've never really read a book that's so tragic. There is a lot of names to keep track of, but I didn't mind at all because the book was just so well done. I really wanted to learn about all the women affected and also all of the corporate villains. This book was really fascinating, but at the same time, it was also really infuriating. The corporation knew of the hazards caused by radium, yet when confronted about it, they were full of denials and empty assurances that radium was safe. They purposefully cultivated the girls' oblivion. They kept them in the dark and didn't warn them the dangers that radium caused. The corporations tried desperately to do everything they could to cover up what they absolutely knew to be radium poisoning. They even hired their own doctors to test the girls to see if they were in fact radioactive. They didn't even share their test results with the girls. Instead, they just lied through their teeth, telling them, yeah, you're healthy. They even secretly compiled the list of the girls who would most likely die next. So this book was just really infuriating because companies should care about their employees' health. I know this was well over 100 years ago that this occurred, but still. So the decline of an employee's health due to their occupation should receive adequate compensation. It's obvious today, but this book was just so shocking to read. So the money-hungry corporations in this book skirted around it and blamed it on the girls themselves, claiming that most of the time that these girls were sick before they even started, which is total nonsense. So the company was really careless with these girls' lives. The company pretty much lacked in basic humanity. They let the girls pretty much slowly kill themselves with every dial that they painted. This book is kind of very inspirational. These girls were given a death sentence, and many of them still held onto their hope and fought for justice, even though they were physically weakened and on the verge of death. The girls only wanted them to pay for their medical bills. They weren't even trying to be selfish or anything. That was just so infuriating. But I really like this book. I highly recommend it to anyone interested in historical nonfiction. This does not necessarily read like you would expect. It's more like a true crime. It's just really shocking. I never even heard about Radium Girls or knew anything about it. So I'm like really happy that I picked up this book. So this is a story about the callousness and greed of corporate America and the fight for justice by very brave women. So I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this book. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!